Hey students, let's review today. You got a PC going on for the weekend, and I want to go over some problems with y'all before we get started. I'll give you the code at the end of the video. All right. So we first need to understand the triangle inequality theorem. Basically what that says is any side of a triangle is always shorter than the sum of the other two sides. Okay, so we're just going to highlight that. So any side of a triangle is always shorter than the sum of the two other triangles, all right? So basically what that's saying is this side right here, we'll call it x, is always going to be smaller than these two added together, all right? And then another way of looking at this, let me move this up one sec. Another way of looking at this is the third side, so that red side right over there must be larger than the difference between the other two sides. So basically what's going on is if this side is, let's just say this is 5, this is 4, well, that third side has to be bigger than the distance between the two other sides. So it has to be bigger than 5 minus 4 in this case. All right, we'll do some example problems, but I just want to kind of establish this. So that x has to be bigger than 1, but it also needs to be smaller than the sum of those, which is 9. So I can say that x has to be bigger than 1, but it also must be smaller than 9. All right, let's do some examples. So some students I was going over the learning activities and noticed that some students were still struggling on a couple of them, and I just want to double check with them all, okay? So this one is a problem from learning activity 7.6. And basically, we're saying if we can make a triangle with these three sides. Remember, the triangle has to be smaller. One of the sides has to be smaller than the sum of two sides, or again, we're going back here. The third side must also be larger than the difference between the other two sides. So basically what I'm saying is we're going to either add them, and our side should be smaller than that, or you subtract the two sides and the third side must be larger. So again, if I was to look at this, I can go ahead and take the sum of these two. So the sum of those two, 8 has to be, in this case, taking the sum, the first part here, it has to be shorter than the sum of the other two sides for it to work. Okay, so we have 3 plus 4, that's 7. So those add together give you 7, and we can see that 8 is the third side. So the question is, let me pull something up real quick, is the sum of those two sides, or is 8 shorter than the sum of those two sides? Basically, is 8 smaller than 7? That answer is no. So therefore, that will not work, and that will not be a triangle. So again, we'll do this again. I can see 7 and 6. So I can say 7 plus 6. That gives me 13. 12 is the third side. The question now is 12 smaller than 13? That's true. So then that one has to be an answer. All right, so that has to be an answer. So we'll just highlight it. We can do the same thing here. We get 5 plus 11. That gives you 16. That's my third side. So is 13 smaller than 16? The answer is yes. So that's also a solution. And then you could use these other ones. 4 plus 6. That's equal to 10. My third side is 12. So is 12 smaller than 10? The answer is no. Okay, same thing. 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. Now is 10 smaller than 10? So if you said yes, that's not quite correct, but you need to understand that 10 cannot be smaller than 10, right? It's actually equal to each other. So it should be 10 equal to each other. So therefore, that one's not true either. So it looks like we only have 2 of those 3 different shapes or sides that will give a triangle. All right, next one. So we're just doing the same thing here. Except this time, I need to figure out what this x could potentially be. So if this is my third side, I know that the sum of these two added together, 3.2 plus 5.5, that gives you 8.7. So I know that x has to be smaller than 8.7, or I can take the difference, which means subtraction. I subtract those two, and I can see that, let's see, we got 5.5 minus 3.2 should give me 2.3. So I know that x also has to be bigger than 2.3. So if I was to write this out using this notation right here, I can see that x has to be bigger than 2.3. So 2.3 is going to be that a value. But it can't go past 8.7, or x has to be below 8.7. So that's my solution there. So you can try this again. If you pause the video, you can try this yourself, but I'll just keep going. Again, I need to see what this value x is going to be. I know that the sum of those two other sides, which is going to be 5.4, I know that x has to be smaller than those, but I also know that x has to be bigger than the difference of those two. Do this is 3, 2.8, right? So I know that x has to be bigger than 2.8. So if x is bigger than 2.8, it's also smaller than 5.5. So what I'm saying is that third side there is going to be between those two numbers. That's basically what we're saying here. All right, so this one was pretty hard. Looks like half of you were able to get this right. For those about 50 people answered it. This is saying a triangle has an angle measure of 90 degrees, an angle measure of 20 degrees, and a side that is 6 units long. So the 6 unit side is between the 20 and 90 degree angles. Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to sketch this. I want to see how many triangles can I draw with this scenario. So if you understand angles again, I'll use red. I know that this is 90 degrees, right? We got that right angle. And I want to make something that's about 20 degrees. So I'm going to stretch this all out. And this is going to be about 20 degrees. Let's just shoot that out. About there, right? Doesn't have to be exact. But what it's saying is between them is a 6 unit side. Question comes to how many triangles can I make of that? Well, if I was to try to rearrange these, okay, well, I can move this upwards, I guess, and then make this part the 20 degrees. Right, this is the 20 and this is the 90 degrees. If my 6 is still has to be between those, okay, technically these two triangles are still the same. They're not any different from each other. Basically what happens is I turned it, right? I turned it upwards and then I flipped it over, right? That's the same triangle. So really just by sketching it out, I can only draw one triangle, okay? I can't draw any other triangles, meaning that 6 has to be on different sides or anything. There's only one unique triangle. So last question here. A lot of people are struggling about this one, maybe because of the protractor stuff. But this is another problem in 7.8, 7.9. Basically, I need to see which of these angle measures, so which of these angle measures that I'm highlighting here, which of these is impossible to draw. Remember, it's impossible to draw a triangle if it doesn't connect. So if it's like really wide, right, there's no way to connect those triangles. One way to do this is using my tool. Okay, looking at this one. Using my tool, I could use this protractor and move it around, right? You can turn it around and then use this to measure the angles. Well, let's look at A. The first angle is 20 degrees. So I'm going to take this and make this into 20 degrees. You see that 20 right there? Then now I'm going to take my protractor. I'm going to put C over it, line it up to 0. And then I'm going to take B. And with this point A, I'm going to make it to 20 degrees, okay? Since we're looking at the left, we took 0 on the left side. We're going to follow that top part that's going from left to right. So that's going from 0. It's going up to 20 or 45 degrees. That's what I wanted. We'll go up to here. And now I'm going to extend G out a little more. And you can see there, you can make a triangle with this for part A. So that one's not going to be the answer we're checking off, right? We're seeing the ones that's impossible to make a triangle with. We can make a triangle out of this one. Okay, let's try the second one. Second one says 120 degrees, it looks like, and 50 degrees. So I'm going to make this 120 degrees. So that's pretty wide. And then I'm going to line this up again over C, get that 0 lined up there. Take my B, put it over C, and now I'm going to start from 0 and go 50 degrees. 50 degrees is right there. Okay, so right now it doesn't look like it's connecting. But what happens if I keep extending it? Let me see what happens if I keep going super far out. Okay, if I go super far out, you'll see that, well, it does kind of connect. Okay, so therefore, if it connects, that means we can, right there, create a triangle with those two angles. Do you see that? That's a triangle. Let me, if I just kind of extend it down a little bit, your triangle is going to be looking like that. And again, you're going over 50 degrees right there and 120 degrees. So B is not the answer either. Well, now C is saying one of the angles is 90 degrees, it looks like. So I'm going to take this, turn it to 90 degrees, and then the other one's at 100. So then same thing, I'm going to put that in the middle, line it up to 0, take my B, and then find 100 degrees will fit. So A, I'm going to look at that top number. It goes past 90, and then there's 100. So the question comes is, can I make a triangle with those two angles? Looks like it's both shooting out more, right? The 90 degrees is clearly shooting up, but this one's shooting to the right, it looks like, and therefore they can't connect. Okay, so we know that A, you can make a triangle, B, you can make a triangle, but unfortunately for C, you cannot. So that's going to be the answer. We're going to circle right there. All right, I'm trying to get my stylus to work, but it's not working. That's fine. Okay, so go ahead and do the proficiency check. The code is just right up here. Your code is triangles, exclamation point. Before you start, the rules and procedures, you need to be able to do this right before Monday morning. I'm going to close the code and change it, and you won't be able to take it again, and you have to sign up for a retake to take it, all right? So again, I'm going to close this code at Monday morning at 8 a.m. If you miss it, or if you go overtime, looks like you only get 45 minutes, then I will only allow you to do it during retake times that you need to sign up for, okay? And that's kind of a hassle too if you miss it. So good luck. I believe in you. And let's just keep working hard, all right? We got, 4 more weeks, maybe 2 more tests. Okay, see you.